he's everything that's wrong with science. I mean, I would say almost society at this point, where
arrogance,
there's an arrogance,
demeaning.
there's the selfishness, I think there's I've always said that I don't think that we even use the term anymore, but Aspergers, he is terrible socially.
I think he doesn't care. I don't think he cares because he knows.
I don't think he knows that he's right. I think he does care.
Okay.
I just don't think he understands it. I think he doesn't understand social cues. I mean, it's classic, on the spectrum behavior, because he just doesn't. I don't think he picks up the social cues right. I don't think he understands it. And he was sort of raised. We were at that time, that era. Those were the people. I mean, those were the people who ran these corporations. People were put on pedestals for being smart and ruthless and not saying no, not taking no for an answer. And then suddenly we realized that we're rewarding psychopaths. So I think there's a pressure for men to behave that way to some extent. That's how you proved you were a man. You didn't admit defeat. You didn't, show emotion. You didn't, women were beneath you. And I mean, it's all wrong now, obviously. Not even now, it was wrong then. But I feel like it was a culture that I think it'd be interesting to explore it now. I mean, I would love to see McKay show up with a younger generation and see and understand what he's allowed to and not allowed to say and stuff. I mean, I attended every show that you do now. If you're in for more than a couple of episodes, you do different types of training, whether it's COVID training, or in this case, I want to say assault training. It's not assault training. I'm the worst of training to get, but sexual assault and abuse, like a lecture that talks to you about all the different, potential ways that this could be construed and stuff. And there are things that as an older straight white guy, I didn't get. I just didn't get it. I wasn't aware that there were things like, one of the classic jokes that people used to make on set would be about like, well, I can't say that anymore. And I was like, and what they're saying in these conversations now is that you can't say that. That's like saying you want to say that, but you can't. Like, it's not. There's just so many things that are built into the way. There was sort of like simple, easy ways to get a laugh on set that you cannot do anymore. And I feel horrible about it, because I realize that there's stuff that's happened over the years that I should have said things about that I didn't. Well,
being aware is the first step.
What was that?
Being aware is the first step.
Yeah, it is. But again, I think there's only so much patting on my own back I can do on that stuff, because I feel like there's just truly like the Black Lives Matter stuff that's come up recently has been sort of startling to me, because I realized that 30 years ago, I watched a video of Rodney King getting the crap beaten out of him and thought, oh my God, what a terrible situation. Well, that's blown the lid on that. Done. Off we go. 30 years later, I see a video, of the poor man being killed. I mean, and I go, oh my God, because of where I am in the world and the color of my skin, I've been able to not even realize that this was still an issue. I was shocked. And, I'm talking to friends of ours, who are like, I have to explain to my kid that he's Black. And even though he's 13 years old, he's not that cute, silly kid anymore to a cop with a gun right now. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, what? Really? I was like, in this neighborhood? She's like, this neighborhood, this country, this like, and I'm like, oh my God, I literally had no idea. Not that that's an excuse. But I literally had no idea. I thought these were like incidents. I didn't realize this was systemic. I mean, it's shocking to me. So anyways, that's right. I totally off.
No, I understand. It's just,
but it's a fascinating thing though.
No, absolutely. And, it's just, I do hope that McKay comes back in SG4, and it would be interesting to see his new directions in this new day and age.
Yeah, and to see where he's gone with this stuff, because I'd like to think that he probably wouldn't have. I don't think still would have picked up on a lot of this stuff. I think he'd be very resentful about this stuff. Well, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if his career has been marred by a few incidents. which could be interesting as well. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff there, I think, you know.
Well, I would hope that Jennifer would have helped, you know,
exactly
tame a lot of that.
If she stuck with him.
Do you think she would have? Do you think
wouldn't.
Do you think that was I wouldn't have.
Kane gave me 15 minutes when I got home to lose McKay or lose her.
That's
forever,
right. So. Snapping your fingers and pointing. That's right.
That was it. I had to stop the snapping. Yeah, I mean, that relationship was so funny because I, of course, loved it because, I mean, Jewel State. I mean, talk about science fiction like icon. I mean, just, oh my God. I mean, Firefly was still to this day. I mean, no offense to Stargate, still, I think one of the most effective modern science fictions I've ever seen. I couldn't get over it. The character development, everything. It was gorgeous. And of course, so is she. But I definitely struggled with the romance stuff. I find it, I feel like it's, again, it sort of harkens back to the 80s, 90s television, doesn't it? Where people have to partner up and, you know, and I feel like the wonderful nature of what could happen is always marred by what does happen, if that makes sense. So I feel that the sexual tension is much more fun in a way than the actual getting together thing. So.
Speaking of sexual tension, kind of tangentially related, Marita wanted to know who was the smartest, McKay or Carter?
I know what I would say, but I also know what McKay would say as well. I mean, McKay obviously felt. I think McKay felt threatened by Carter.
Oh, I mean, unquestionably.
Yeah. You know, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think definitely McKay.
Well,
I can't bring myself to actually say it.
The argument that I always make is that we as humans, we only have so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
And Sam had a lot of focuses in a lot of other areas too, and was arguably much more human in terms of like her human. So I think McKay was just a lot more raw data, and it had more raw data to just mine from, and that's what his focus was. So I mean, all things being equal, I would probably think that McKay is smarter, but I mean, if we're talking but we're not like a better human. That's the difference.
Certainly not.
So
yeah, I think, and I mean, the other thing is, I think, I would talk for 3 pages about stuff that then Shepard could reduce to a couple of sentences or a grunt. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's who's smarter at what? You know what I mean? Like I feel like one of the beauties of Stargate, both SG-1 and Atlantis. I can't speak too much to Universe because I didn't watch as much of it, but I felt like we each had our niche. That was the beauty of it. Everyone had the areas of expertise, and they crossed over in places. But I felt there was the competition between. I think who's smarter. I think we pushed each other to be smarter.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
The beauty of the competition. I think that element is, and it's so true because that's such a nerdy thing to do. Like no one wants to be wrong. Everyone wants to be the smartest kid in the class, but or
at least respected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. It's our goal to share a new Stargate story every day while we're on break. Please feel free to subscribe to future episodes here on YouTube. And if you have Stargate friends who might like this clip, let them know about us. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com to view the complete archive, as well as transcripts from past interviews. I'll see you on the other side.